KSMO Radio. We have some guests with us this morning. It's like a party. We have Scott Schultz with us, Patrick Stites, and we have Sally Burbridge. It's no, I'm not saying the Three Stooges, but no.
Ouch.
No. We're gonna have some fun, but we're gonna tell you a lot of interesting and very, very important information about some things going on. Some brand new programs that have come into fruition here in the last few months. I know, Scott, that the Riverways Federal Credit Union has been working hard to try and get this program on. I know Sally with the city been trying to get everything down. It's the T's that have to be crossed, the I's that have to be dotted, and a lot of different things going on. But there's an outstanding program with the Welcome Home Affordable Housing Program that right now actually you can pre-apply for right now. Can you not?
Correct. Yes, anyone who meets kind of low-income guidelines can pre-apply for this, and then we'll start going through the process. I had a lady ask me the other day, well, can I go ahead and fill out the actual application? I'm like, no, that's it. The pre-app, that's it. And then we'll work through all the steps. Yeah. So it's available. It is on the city's website. So city, county, or chamber, either one. And scroll down the page to the news feature, and it is in there, has links to the article from the Salem News, but as well as to the actual application for the program.
Okay, so how does the program work? Now, obviously, the Federal Home Loan Bank out of Des Moines is the background funding for this, but how did all this get started? I know Riverways was very instrumental in getting this program started. Scott, you want to tell us how that all got underway?
Yeah, actually, this started about 4 years ago. We looked at a couple different grant sources for housing in Salem, Missouri, in Dent County. And, through some different programs, we spent some time, energy, effort applying for different grants, looking for different opportunities for Salem. And, it's really important. I mean, it's, pride of ownership and economic development in the town, just living here, being here, roots here. You want to make sure that you do everything you can. So finally, last year we applied for basically the same grant, missed it by 2 points.
Yeah.
On a 100-point scale, we missed it by 2 points. We dotted some I's, crossed some T's, and then they did a little bit of a change, which was nice. Was they allowed us to qualify some veteran housing as well. So veterans are eligible for this. There's a veterans housing piece to this as well. So in addition to the low income, and so ultimately, the Federal Home Loan Bank is kind of a bank for banks, if you will, and they put out the grants every year. It's an annual program that they put out. We applied for it this year. We were selected. It had to be one of the members of the bank that is allowed to get the grant, and then it becomes a pass through straight to the city. So the city is the actual administrator of it. So Riverways is not the administrator of it. We're simply the conduit to bring something great to the community in the tune of $500,000 of home improvement for those in need.
When you look at, and you've mentioned, there's a lot of homes that when people look at trying to rehab their home, I don't think, I need to put a new floor in or I need to do this. They think maybe $2,000-$3,000, and all of a sudden they're seeing what the cost of everything is today. And simply some of that rehab is I think sticker shock just kind of gets to them. Absolutely. Realizing that, okay, the $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 that they might be able to put into their home, that's all they have, but they need $25,000, maybe $30,000 worth of things to go. Boy, they're just like, I can't even afford to do the little bit I really need to do. I can't even afford to do it. If you qualify and your income level is there, put in for this. You can get up to $25,000, but you have to pay 20% of that. The owner of the property, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And there's some different ways that we can do it, and that's one of the places where Riverways or any of the other financial institutions can get involved. We can help you with that. So, don't let I don't have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sitting around in my account worry you. Let us talk. Come in, let us talk with you. Let AM do, because finding that kind of equity and being able to pull in that. I mean, in today's world, if you can spend $5,000 and get $25,000 in benefit, especially on the home, absolutely.
Right.
Everybody's got to. Plus, it's a money saving feature, because a lot of the programs that we're talking about, it's not cosmetic stuff. It's It's leaky windows, drafty doors, leaking roofs, water problems up against the homes, all these different things that are actual health issues. That's what we're focusing on here. This isn't to make your house look the prettiest from the outside. It is to keep your house functional, energy efficient, safe, sound, for a family to live in.
When you put it like that, it's definitely a no-brainer. And I hope people do take advantage of that because, like you're saying, let's say you had planned on spending $2,000 or $3,000, but you say, after I looked at my roof or after I looked inside, I've got some structural issues that we need to do. You're going to find it's going to be closer to $20,000 or $25,000. This is what Scott's talking about. Get to your local banking institution. Talk to them. Riverways can help you out. A number of different people can. And borrow that money. You'll make it very attractive for them so that it's not going to be a burden to them to get this work done. It's going to be an enhancement to them because we've all seen it before, Scott. And you've lived here for a long time. Sally, grew up in the area, and then you've come back, and you're such a wise woman to do that. But we all know that once you watch a house start to get dilapidated, the amount of decay is so quick in a home that if you let it go any longer, it's going to cost you 3 or 4 times the amount to rehab that home, won't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, that's where, a drafty window, causes energy issues, from day one. But then it also leads to, water getting into and around the sills, and the sills start rotting, which also rot out below that, which cause window to be even more drafty. You can get mold in there. It can get in the insulation, the exterior wall insulation. Once it gets wet, the insulating effectiveness of it goes way down. And, the problems just compound. So what we're looking to do is come back in and shore up all those critical items.
So it's really a pretty simple pre-application that you need to fill out, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's a one-pager.
One-pager, I like it.
That's right. I did everything I could to get down to one page.
Is it multiple guests?
No.
That would really make it easy.
No, but it is really a one page. I mean, we ask you to go through, we have laid out what those low income guidelines are. And you just kind of go through and select, if you meet the first criteria, say you have 3 people in your house and you meet the low income numbers below that, then just circle that one. That's your first step. Below that, I think we've got 4 or 5 simple questions, and it's just pick all that apply to your household. And those are, do you have someone with a disability? Now, those definitions are on the back, so it's a one-pager, 2-sided. but
well, the questions are on one side.
Right, the questions are all on one side.
Descriptions and explanations are on the back.
Right, and so just go through and pick what applies to your home. Do you have someone with a disability? Is there a veteran in your home? Do you have a child under the age of 6? Do you have a woman who's pregnant in your home? And so those, and then the final question is your home, was it constructed prior to 1978? And then after that, we just need your name and contact info and sign at the bottom. So it's a really quick, simple pre-application. Of course, then the work begins.
Sure.
We've got to start verifying all of your income.
Right. And let's explain what kind of talk right before we came on the air. Just because you filled the pre-application doesn't mean somebody's going to come by with a check for $20,000 and say, okay, you need 5, and you can rehab your house. There's a little more to it. Right. You're going to get something I won't say for virtually nothing, but it is going to cost you some time and research.
Yes.
Because you're going to have to you're going to have to get some necessary documentation. You're going to have to do a few things to make sure that, you may have to contact a couple contractors somewhere in there so you understand this is not going to, and it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
Yes.
Like,
I know. Riverways is ready. You can go up there tomorrow.
Right, they're ready.
They're ready. But you
first,
may not. Yeah, but you may not be quite ready.
Yeah. First, Sally's going to call you and say, "Hey, wait a minute. I need this extra documentation." So, and so we do have to meet. We didn't just make this up. The Federal Home Loan Bank, as part of their grant, they stipulate what types of income verification you have to supply.
Okay.
So for each person's situation, it might be a little different. If you work somewhere, just a regular employee, you get a W-2 at the end of the year, we need 3 consecutive pay stubs. And they need to be, of course, recent. The more recent, the better. So 3 consecutive pay stubs. And if that's your only income, you're good there. If you're a self-employed individual, so then we need your last 2 years' tax returns, including your Schedule C or your F if it's a farm. Right. If you have Social Security income, we need your annual statement of benefits. Same with veteran, we'll need your VA, your annual statement of benefits. So, and in some cases, without going into any details, but One of the applications that we do have in so far, the pre-applications, the lady is semi-retired, so she works part-time seasonally. So that's a little different. Just a standard pay stub doesn't work. So she'll have to have a verification of employment from her employer that states she works this many weeks out of the year and not this many, and that. So there's extra steps depending on your situation, and on how many of those types of income you have. Right.
So if you might be in a unique situation, you don't think that you don't qualify. Well, I don't have a
Correct.
full-time job
Correct.
like that. As Sally's saying, there are, everybody always thinks, well, the requirements will be too stringent. They'll be too tough. I won't qualify. And all the questions that are on this
Right.
on
the
this
pre-application.
application, I mean, name,
Right.
address,
Right.
phone number, email, and then basically your signature and then a couple little small
Right.
little things. That's it.
Yeah.
I think I can fill that out, and make it pretty easy.
Right.
The idea is to get you associated with a program so that you get a little bit more
Yes.
familiar with it.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the actual process of this, it's going to take some time.
It is. It is. Do you want the big overview? Do you
Well, I think we need to not let people think, well, if I get this,
Right.
if
And
I
it's
apply
happening
for
tomorrow,
this today,
right.
it's going to be May.
Right,
I think
right.
I could probably have this done by June 1st.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
So as we move forward, the real key right now, so as of today, is I need to get a minimum of 4 people pre-qualified. Okay, so all the income verification, everything checks, we're good to go for 4 people. Then we'll actually start working with our HUD inspector. So we did have to hire a HUD
Right.
certified housing inspector. And when Patrick starts talking here in a bit, it's the same inspector he'll be using for his lead-based paint program. So that's a really nice tie in there. And so this gentleman will then do a walkthrough through your home with you and kind of identify what are the biggest needs. So based on the condition of the house, based on your needs as the owner. So, maybe you have an issue where a step-in tub would really make life much easier because you have some disability or something that allows, you have issues stepping into that tub.
Right.
So that's something that could qualify through this program. So this gentleman will walk through your house and identify with you what the highest needs are. Now, understanding, we were talking earlier about all the types of issues that we can address in a house through the program. We're going to have to be selective. And unfortunately, maybe in some houses we can't fix everything because that $25,000 is only going to go so far.
Right.
So we will kind of triage your home with you to determine what's the highest need. And then once we have all 4 houses, that first round, those will go out to bid. Now, as the owner, you won't be involved in that part of the process. Our housing inspector will handle letting out the bids. And then between the housing inspector and the city, we'll select who the contractor is, and then they'll get going on your house. I think he said 45 days the other day is what he generally, from start to finish for the houses. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with current material, to order materials, windows, things like that. So we'll just have to play it by ear. For many of us, this is our first time to do this,
Sure.
so
Yeah.
we're all in
Yeah.
the same boat.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the process in a nutshell. So
And I think one thing to remember is, and he mentioned this the other day in our meeting with the contractors, was, whenever they leave at night, you're going to have running water. You're going to have, you're going to have the amenities in the home that you still need to
Right.
live. They're not going to come in and tear your house apart. And you're
Right.
not going to be able to live in it for 3 weeks.
yeah, and that's
You
an important piece. There are not funds in this, so we may be working in your house and disrupting all the major systems in your home. But yes, every night when the contractors leave, you will have at least basic functioning systems. And there's not funds to house folks in alternative
Right.
housing while this is going on. So it'll be happening while they're there. It'll be a huge disruption to their lives. We realize that. But we hope that when it's done, their lives will be a little better.
No different than any other rehab you would do.
Right.
If you wanted to come in and redo your kitchen, I guarantee you, when you start yanking stuff out and the cabinets come down and the dust starts flying, you're going to have plastic sitting up there,
Yep.
and you're going to walk toward your kitchen and there's nothing there.
Yes.
What do you do now?
Yeah, I
You
did
know.
that, remember,
Well,
right
I
over New
know
Year's.
You
yes.
did. And you did
Yes.
a lot of that yourself.
Yes.
But people need to realize and it doesn't happen, like they don't come in one day and they just
Right.
change it all out. Because because if there is some plumbing, you never know what's hidden.
Right.
That's always the kicker. And
Yes.
even the HUD inspector is not going to
Right.
know what's hidden. They're going to allow for what I always call the intangibles. You just don't
Right.
know what to expect. Yes, your water works right now, but when they come in and they see that crusty old
Right.
zinc pipe
Right.
that you have, and they just start to quiver.
Right. The cast iron, or worse yet, the clay tile.
Yeah, or even
Yes.
the old lead pipes.
Yes.
Some of the old houses here had
Yes.
lead pipes.
Yes.
Which you have to cringe. Why would they have lead pipes? Most of those are all gone now, but I'm
Right. You
sure
never
there
know.
may be one or two out there. But whatever it is, when they get into the nuts and bolts of taking things out and finding and I can tell you that right here in Dent County, they do have a lot of non-grounded homes yet with
Yes.
the wiring because it's still the paper wrapped insulation. Now that goes back a long way.
And we still have some knob and tube.
Yeah, I get that. So but we don't know what to expect. They don't know what to expect when they get in the walls, and when they do that, of course, as I mentioned, the HUD inspectors are smart enough to know if this house was built before 78, more than likely it's going to have a few things
Yes.
that are going to have to be replaced to get up to code.
Right.
And that's another thing. These inspectors know it's code. Salem has
Right.
a code.
Yes.
They will have to fall underneath that code for
Correct.
housing, correct?
Correct.
So the up-to-date Boca Code, whichever, there used to be so many different versions of it. I don't even know. Which one are we on now?
We're on
2019?
2012.
2012.
Yes, International Building Code 2012.
Yeah, okay, so anyway, there's so many of them out there.
Right.
You're not going to know what all the codes are, but your contractors will, and they will have to.
And the inspector will.
And the
yes.
inspector will. They have to abide by this to make sure that the right piping is in, the right size, exhaust is in. It has to be
Right.
all done properly. So when you say, why are they doing that? I didn't have that in before. That's because it's now being updated to the proper coding system,
Right.
which will make your home safer.
Yes,
And
a
it
lot
might
of
be-
safety features built into
exactly,
the newer
and
codes.
it was
yes.
one of the reasons why you might be having the problem you have right now.
Very likely.
Yeah, very likely.
So,
So it is a patience game, okay? Not only to go through the paperwork, get the documentation you need, apply, you wait. Once you find out if you are selected, then the contractor
Right.
is going to be selected. Then they get the materials, and Sally, we all know contractors right now, they're kind
Right.
of overwhelmed. It may be a little while before they can actually get to your project, right?
well, maybe, maybe not.
Okay, well, I said, I said it could be.
Right, it could be. So Scott alluded to it a second ago.
Oh, he did.
He did.
That
We're
he's gonna
dropping
do the
hints
work.
for future conversation.
Absolutely, and that guarantee will be wrong.
So we actually did I guess probably it's a pre-bid meeting.
Okay. Well, yes, you did.
Last week.
Yeah, last Tuesday.
Yeah, and so we invited, I kind of went through all the city and county business licensing and invited all of the general contractors that I could find information for.
Mm-hmm.
They either got a call or an email and invited them to come. Scott Riverways graciously provided lunch, so we enticed with food. We were trying to get
Taking
people in the door.
lobster will get a lot of people. Of course, it was probably just sub sandwiches.
Hey,
I run a
you know.
not-for-profit, okay? Let's be real careful here.
I didn't
So,
say how big a steak or how big a lobster, did I?
So at that meeting, Scott and myself were there, and of course we had this anonymous building inspector, Mr. Chuck Cantrell. That's his name. He works with MRPC, and so he was there also. And we just kind of gave a broad overview of what the program is, where the money's coming from, kind of how it'll work. And we had Chuck there to help talk about the inspections and the bidding and how that would work for the contractors, so they would have an understanding of what the program was. And I feel like by the end of the session, they got it. The whole room kind of, and we had over 20 people there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a packed
Good
room.
attendance,
It was
yeah.
good.
Yeah, very good.
And I've had a couple calls since then. Okay, we didn't get to come. What's the scoop? Tell me what's going on, and can we still bid? I'm like, oh yeah, you can still bid when it comes up. Excuse me. So at the end of that, though, like I said, I felt like they all got it. And part of this program is that there's a time frame. So the grant is only good for 2 years. So the official award date was February 1st. So we need to we had funding for 25 homes. And so we need to have all 25 homes rehab done, all the paperwork done, closed out by February 1st of 2024. Yes.
You mean by January 31st?
Yeah,
of
well, yes.
2024. Because
So,
you're going to
yes.
have to have it all submitted by
That's right.
February 1st. Okay.
So there is some time constraints, and we realize
Well, I mean, yeah.
prices and how
get it.
booked contractors are. This is probably one of the worst times to try to do it, but it is what it is, and when you get lemons, make lemonade and move on. So
Well, but like
that's-
you're saying, though, there's still going to be that initial time. It's the
Yes.
initial one that's going to take the longest.
yes, the
You know,
learning
because
curve. Yeah.
because you've never done it before. So all the things that you missed the first time around or have questions about the first time
Right.
around, you'll have answers. So it'll be a little bit more streamlined.
Correct.
Second round. I really do believe this program will just start to fly once people see how it happens.
Right.
Because once they see that first, second, third house being
Right.
done, then, well, hey, I qualify for that.
Right.
I want it done to my house. Well,
Right.
now remember, guys, when we start talking about these, we're talking about $25,000 max per house that can be done.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it still means that you have to match 20% of that.
Correct.
All right. Now, Patrick, I'm almost at your place. And I don't want to, people. Patrick is here. He nods very softly. Is really quiet. But this is where a lot of people say, "I don't have that money. I can't afford to do that." And this is why, when we start talking about the help that you need, the city can't pay that $5,000 for you. They can't offer you credits. But somebody here that's with us today, the organization he's with, they can help you with this and set something up that is not taxing to you immediately, because obviously if you couldn't afford to get the rehab done to your home, you're not going to be able to just go borrow an unlimited amount of dollars to go try and rehab it. But a small amount, Scott, you can make that affordable for people to pay over time.
Absolutely, and that's one of the goals you have, and one of the great things about the timing of this is, I mean, we all know property prices have appreciated over the last 2 years. We know that the work that this is going to, the work that's done to the home is going to appreciate the value of that, and as a lender, if someone wants 30 or 35,000 or whatever, if they want some extra stuff done, a lot of times we'll be able to do those and rework the mortgage, rework the payments so that, ultimately their monthly payment isn't any greater and they've got a nicer home to live in. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's really, that's really one of those things that's out there that's going to be those golden nuggets. So if you got that wish list, and while you got a contractor there, if there's some things that you want to do, if there's 9 things and a grant will cover 6 of them, you may be able to cover 7, 8, or even 9. With a little work, and that's part of what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at those and make sure that everybody's in the condition that they need to be financially to go through with this. So,
and I'm glad you pointed it out, because just because the grant covers some items, and maybe you wanted some other things done, but you couldn't afford it. Well, now, you say, well, I was going to get a home improvement loan. Maybe it's going to be $15,000. Well, if you're getting 20 to cover this, and you can still afford maybe that 15, then get with your financial institution right there. You got a guy right here ready to willing, able to deal, that say, okay, over a period of time, we can do this. We can help you either refinance that mortgage, or maybe they've got the house paid off, but they just don't have enough income. They can up that loan. You can make it work for them. Work with the contractor, make sure everything is done, and get it done at one time. Don't think you're going to come back to it 2 or 3 or 4 years, Scott. You know as well as I do. That just never happens, does it?
No, you'll never come back to it. So get it done right the first time. Options and those things. I mean, we can, any of the FIs can in town, go through a budget, go through a plan, say here's what we can do, and put you in a spot that your payments are very comfortable for you, and you have a nicer home to live in. It's more efficient, it's safer. I mean, that's the whole goal of this. And those hidden things are going to come up. So there's contingencies built in this program for that. We know how to handle them, and that's part of what we do.
All right, now Patrick, you're here.
Hey,
Patrick Stites is here. Okay, so we're not lying about that.
So before we let Patrick talk, can I do just one little thing?
Well, absolutely.
That'll lead into Patrick. Okay, there we go.
All right,
So
very-
in this one-page pre-application, those questions, the last 3 that I mentioned about, do you have a child under 6 who's in your home or frequently visits, or is there a woman who's pregnant in your home, or is your house older than 1978? Well, those were added because the income qualifications are the same for the Welcome Home Program and for the lead-based paint program. So we can use the one pre-application, and then I just simply refer those that qualify also for the lead-based paint program to Patrick. So homeowners have an opportunity to take advantage of both programs.
Okay,
I'll let
I
Patrick
wasn't going to say it the same way, but that's probably said much better than how I would have phrased it. But I guess the one thing, I forgot where I was going to go with that.
Sorry.
No,
Threw you
no,
off
no,
track.
no, no. Well, not really. All
So
right, Patrick, you're here.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
the great thing is like you guys were talking about, when you're talking about how much work you can get done in a house and those cost limits and the prices of everything going up, if your house is built before 1978 and you do have some lead-based paint hazards, then we can come in there and we can put our grant money toward that, and then that frees up some of that money from Sally's program to be able to address some of those different triaged issues and be able to expand and kind of get more bang for your buck overall. So I did some looking on the census website before I showed up down here, and 30% of the families in Dent County will qualify for our programs based upon income, and 55% of all the housing in Dent County was built before 1979. So the older the houses get, the more likely there is lead-based paint on the premises. However, there is that chance. If it's built before 1978, there could be lead-based paint. And lead is a very big issue overall especially for children. So that's why we ask if there's a child under the age of 6 or an expectant mother on the premises, because it can cause some really long-lasting damage. Causes neurological problems and intelligence deficiencies and behavioral programs. It can get incorporated into your bones and cause joint problems and soft tissue damage in your kidneys and liver. So, kind of overall that lead stuff is it's bad. And once it's someplace, it's there until it gets removed. It's essentially there forever. So that lead-based paint is kind of a ticking time bomb. So our program, we're not a renovation program. We're a lead-based paint remediation program. So we're going to come in and do a surface-by-surface inspection. I've got this nifty little tool called a X-ray fluorescent spectrometer, all fancy sounding, right?
Wow.
Looks like a ray gun from Star Trek.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through, and each coated surface in your house, we're going to check it and see if there's lead-based paint or lead-based coating there. If there is, and when we're done, you're going to get a free report. All of this is free if you qualify for the income, and the house is built before 78 and you've got children there. For owner-occupied houses, our program is free of charge. So then on top of that lead-based paint inspection, we're going to do a risk assessment. And so what that means is, so if there's lead-based paint in your house and it's been painted over 1,000 times and that paint is intact and it looks nice and there's no water damage and there's no scaling, chalking, cracking, any of that stuff, that paint's really not a hazard. So then there's no issue there for us. However, if there is deterioration, or if we find lead-based paint dust, which is the most common and most dangerous form, then we'll come in there and address those. And so typically kind of what you see is older wood windows. Some point in time somebody painted those, and they painted the track too, and so then every time that window goes up and down, it causes dust, and then it sits in the sill, and then you open the window and the breeze comes in and it blows this very fine dust out, right? And then your toddler's crawling around on the floor dropping his passy back in his mouth, and that's how the lead gets into him. And so we're going to check all those areas, and any hazard that we find, then, like Sally said, Chuck's going to go in. He's going to, we're going to go in and do this together. He's going to develop a scope of work. We'll put out a public notice for bid to all licensed lead abatement contractors. We've got some that are pre-qualified. We'll directly send that to them. We'll have that pre-bid kind of meeting at the house where we do a walkthrough with the contractors and with the property owners to get that all kind of sorted out. And so our program will take care of lead-based issues. And the kind of work that we're looking at doing is HUD's got fancy names for everything,
They
right?
should. After the name of that tool.
Right. So
wow, it should have just been the tool.
Right. One of the common things that they call it, paint film stabilization. Really what that means is if your paint's cracking, we're going to come in and do a wet scrape and get that loose stuff off and then put a fresh coat of paint over it. But also we're going to do component replacement. So if you got some old windows and they're covered in paint and it's harder to get the paint off, we're going to replace those windows. Another spot you see is doors. If the door frame got painted, every time that door closes, you have that impact, right? It's causing that paint to turn into dust. And so, we'll do some door replacement probably, some soffit and fascia on the outside of the house, maybe some siding a little bit. And then in some areas, it's really hard to imagine going in and scraping all the paint off of a wall, right? And really, it's work prohibitive. It's too much work. You can't really do it for the cost, and it's cheaper to do what HUD calls encapsulation, or I don't remember what the other word is. Sorry, blanked on it. Anyways, so encapsulation is they make a liquid product. It's like paint and glue mixed together, and they'll go on and put that on, and it's certified to last for 20 years. Kind of the other thing is we can enclose it. That's the other word, enclosure. And so in that case, you would just put fresh drywall up, and they put a bead of silicone around the outside edge of that drywall so that when they put it up, it's sealed to that wall, and they screw it to it and redo that wall, and so then it's locked in there away, and that dust is not a concern anymore.
And people, I'm sure they'll say, well, I know there's none of that dust around my house. I don't have that. Well, I remember reading an article back in, this probably about 15 years ago. It was in St. Louis, and this child used to throw a ball against an outdoor wall, and they threw it all the time, and they were out there all the time, and he ended up with lead poisoning. They didn't have any idea how this could have happened. They had no idea it was lead-based paint on that outside wall, and the dust from it hitting that all the time, the concrete will chip a little bit, over time, and the dust of the paint. They finally figured it out, but it took them like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And the child kept getting worse because it went right back out there and threw the ball against that wall, got that dust. We're not getting any better here. When they finally figured it out, then they went in and took care of the problem. But the damage to the child has already been done.
That's right. So acute exposure to lead, you get that lead into your soft tissues and in your blood. Typically, that's got a half-life of about a month up to 2 months, and so then your body's gonna clear that, but it can only clear so much, and then it gets kind of uptake into your bones, and lead can be in your bones for up to 20 years before your body can get rid of it. So you get that really kind of long-lasting damage, and it can really cause some serious problems. And your story about the child, that's really common. We hear that kind of stuff from the Department of Health and Senior Services, who we are also kind of are partnered with, and the local health departments in our area. And so, the great thing about our program is it's a primary prevention program. So your kids don't have to be lead poisoned for us to come in and use that money. However, we are working with the Department of Health, who are referring folks to us if their child does have an elevated blood lead level. Then we're kind of working together to get in there and get some of that work done.
And one of the things that I remember Sally telling the commission when she was bringing her report down there is the neat thing about this is that this program, along with the Welcome Home program, can be used in conjunction at the same time. You can do both programs,
Yes.
and it doesn't hamper one. That they take the lead-based program versus the Welcome Home program. They could have both if needed. They could apply for both.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then, and our program goes maybe just a little bit further than Sally's does. We will also do rental properties. Of course, that takes some buy-in from both the tenant and the property owner. There's a few additional stipulations for that. On rental properties, the property owner has to pay 15% match for the work being done.
Still a deal.
It's still a deal. Absolutely. So for $15,000, a $15,000 project, you're going to pay $2,250. And so, there's still some room in there to do those kind of projects as well.
All right, very good. So it is a $15,000 max.
Yep.
So now here's the one. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though. If a home does qualify, so the house inspector goes in, they check it out, and they say, okay, we need to do something to this home. there's no cost to that homeowner. Is that correct?
As long as it is an owner-occupied house, there is no cost for our
Right,
program.
for the lead
No
And-
match there.
No
Right.
match.
Yeah.
So, you're going to get a lot of things. We're going to refer you to the health department. Your kid's going to get lead tested free of no out-of-pocket charge for that. You're going to get that lead-based paint inspection and risk assessment. Even if there's not a risk, you're going to know, and we can talk to you about, hey, this is how you upkeep your house to make sure that in the future this doesn't become a risk. And so, that's, once again, that's free of charge. And then at any point in time, obviously, if you don't want to do it, you just say, hey, that's as much as we want, we're done, and that's totally fine. However, by the time we get through the application and stuff, I can't imagine anybody turning down $15,000 worth of work.
Now that you're finished, I don't want it.
Yeah, well, you never know.
No,
It's
you never
one of
know.
those things.
No, I'm not saying it never happened either.
When I started all this and we started really kind of trying to stand up this program, I think I was kind of naive. I thought, man, people be beating down our door to get at this money, and that really hasn't been the case. And we're really struggling to try to get the message out there to folks. And I just, I'm really thankful for having me here today.
Oh,
guys,
no,
'cause
we really want.
We want people to know that this is out there. This is not some scam thing. This is a real program funded through HUD. Our program is located at Merrimack Regional Planning Commission. It's in there with the Public Housing Authority for our, I think they cover 5 counties in our region. I'm working with Chuck. He's been the HUD inspector in our region for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, he's been around for a long time. He knows lots of folks. So, we're an established organization, and we're just here trying to provide some assistance to some folks that need it.
So, but let's put it honestly. Let's say, somebody said, well, I don't have any kids in my house, but it may be an older couple. They've lived in this house for 50 years, which could very well be, and we see a lot of that happen in Dent County. They say, well, I don't have any kids around my house. We don't really need to worry about it. We don't have any of that problem. But they babysit their grandkids or their great-grandkids. They come by 2-3 times a week. They're not thinking we're only there for a couple of hours, but they're there a couple of hours. You can get exposed in minutes.
That's exactly right. And so then on the pre-application, that Sally was talking about, she says, if a child is visiting the property frequently, well, HUD has a definition for that. They say if there's a child on your property for more than 3 hours, 2 days a week, and a total of 60 hours in a year, then you're qualify. And so that's it. If you're babysitting grandkids, or even if they just come over for dinner a couple times a week, you're probably hitting that.
Sure.
And so we can definitely, take a look, and I'd be happy to talk to everybody about that.
And in all honesty, when I look at these programs that we're talking about, these programs are available. And the income levels, by the way, Sally sent out a revised income level. They have gone up. Which means, obviously, with the cost of everything else out there, it doesn't sound like much, but it has gone up. If you didn't qualify maybe last year, you need to possibly take another look, because maybe now you do qualify for this help. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because you know what? I'm just not going to do this, because I'm above that. A little bit of help never hurt anybody. And especially, I'm no expert in lead-based paint. I can tell you, I doubt if anybody in here is. Maybe Patrick might be a little bit more than anybody else. But if you walk by a house, you're not going to know if that's lead-based paint or if that is something else on there. You just have no idea. So in all aspects of trying to keep people safe, you want to take every step possible. Why not have it checked? That's going to cost them how much for that guy to come out and check?
Well, it's free of charge to have us come out to check.
It costs nothing. Nothing. There's no inspection fee. There's nothing. Why not have it done? And we're talking about a program that can remediate a problem that may cost you thousands if you think you can do it on your own. Why?
It's a great question, and like I said,
It's a great question. I actually thought of it myself.
we would be really happy to come out and chat with everybody. Like Sally said, these applications, like our pre-application's 5 questions, and Sally has hit all of them on her sheet. We've got an online website. You can get on there. There's an online survey. It's 5 questions. It'll tell you at the end
You just click through 'em.
if you're pre-qualified or not. Now, the application process is a little bit different.
Right.
There's a lot more to that
There
full
always is.
application. We
Yeah.
got to do the income verification.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
before HUD spends money on a house, they want to see that it's insured and that you're up to date on your mortgage payments and it's not going to be, repossessed the next month. And, so there's some things that require a little bit of effort on the participants'
Sure.
part. But, you get $15,000 worth of work for doing that.
Yeah.
And so,
And the peace of mind knowing that your children aren't going to succumb to these lead-based paint issues.
Absolutely.
So that's-
Absolutely. And so the treatment for lead poisoning, folks, is called chelation. And that treatment's come a long way, but it is still really painful. And it's a medication that binds to the lead in your body and pulls it out. It is not fun. And so it's not something that anybody would want to go through at any age, especially not a 4-year-old child.
And if we have people who are listening that are renters, and as Patrick mentioned, this is available for rental homes. Now, you will have to pay 15%, but as we talked about,
Yeah,
that
the
is
owner.
nothing.
Yeah, the
the owner
landlord.
of that property, not the renter. The owner, the renters had nothing to do with it, but it would get your property, first off, if you'd like your property to be under the HUD program. I am sure Chuck would say, you better check this out first to make sure that there is no lead-based paint, and you can get it all fixed up for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so
There's properties out there that need this.
absolutely, there's a lot of properties in our, like I said, 55% of the housing. That's huge. The majority of the housing in this county was done before 1979.
You know,
So-
and even if you're in a farmhouse, don't think you have to live in the city to have lead-based paint. It's not necessarily the case, because you could definitely be living out on Route H and 20 miles from town. And have
I
lead-based
just think
paint.
about my grandmother when I was growing up. Every spring, we'd drag out every piece of furniture that was painted and repaint it again. Do you know what I mean? That used to be the thing.
Yeah.
And so how much of
That was
that
to keep
was,
you out of trouble. That's
well,
what that was.
possibly, but I mean that was the thing that most families did.
Sure.
And so how many of those layers of paint now are?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could be causing problems. So,
So just to touch on the rental program a little bit. So for rental properties, we will potentially even do vacant rental properties. There doesn't have to be a child or an expectant mother on the property for rental properties because those rental properties turn over.
Yeah, and there could be, though.
But that's right.
Yeah.
But there can be. There is a little hook if the rental properties, if they get on our program and we do work there, then for the next 3 years they just have to affirmatively market to families with children under the age of 6 and show preference when selecting renters to families with children under the age of 6. And so, that's pretty much all there is to it, and get to work.
Well, that's a huge hook.
Oh, well, it's not like they have to leave it empty for 3 years,
It's a
though.
huge hook. Yeah. Well, these programs we're talking about obviously can help you through babies. And we all know COVID did a lot of damage to people's income and finances and probably even their plans to get things done on their own. And unfortunately, we've already talked about it. The price of materials and everything has changed so drastically since 2019. Anybody sit there and say, yeah, I had an estimate in 2019. It was for $4,000. You do not want to have them give you the same estimate. It will not be anywhere near $4,000 because the availability of the materials, first off, is a problem. And then the cost of them because of the demand, because there's, people say there's a housing shortage. I said, I don't think so. I still see people building houses in record numbers and at the cost of materials.
And at
It
the
should
same
be
time,
maybe
every other week.
Yeah,
There's on
yeah.
our community, like social media pages, people asking, "Are there any rentals available?"
Yeah,
Folks
always
are looking.
rentals
I
available.
just, but they're asking. They're having trouble finding them.
There's always
So
been a
it's-
problem with
Right.
rental houses in the area, and
Gotcha. Yeah.
for people who are here on a part-time basis.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize, that we have a lot of transient people, and I say transient in the form of short-term
Right.
occupants. And so, well, who would be in Salem for short-term occupants? Well, there's contractuals out at the hospital. You have nurses, you have lab technicians. You have people there, people coming in for the mines. They're only here for 6 to 8 months or maybe 9 months. Then they're going back to whatever location they're here for training. You see this all the time. Sometimes a teacher will come for a year because they want to see if this is a good fit for them. So there's a lot of those out there, and they want to rent a house before they invest in putting down roots and
Right.
getting a mortgage through Riverways and
Right.
being here for the next 30 to 40 years.
Right.
You definitely want to find out. So rentals are a key ingredient to solidifying your community, because those people, if they can't find rentals, they probably won't even come.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sally was talking about, some of those bigger construction, they can take some time, right? And the same kind of goes for us. Once you get included in the program, it can take some time overall to get the project started. However, HUD says by the time the contractor starts on the property, we have 10 days. They have 10 days to get the work done and get off the site. So, after we select that contractor, if they've got to get windows or they got, sometimes there's going to be a delay there. But once they start on that property, 10 days and they're done and your house is back to you. We're going to go in and do clearance testing and make sure that they did all the cleaning properly and that there are no longer any lead-based hazards there. For rental properties, we're going to pay relocation expenses to the tenants for up to that 10 days while they're out. So owner-occupied houses, they're getting that work, so they're a little bit more on their own. They got to cover that. But for rental properties, we're going to cover relocation for the tenants.
Well, if you've got 10 days for the lead-based paint program to do the work, we've got 40. I'm thinking we're going to have to really coordinate well through Chuck
Yes.
to make sure this all works for timelines.
Yes.
Because that only gives us 55 days to get potentially a roof redone, an HVAC system, and lead-based paint mediated.
Yes.
So it's going to have to be
Well, the good thing is that they don't necessarily have to line up, right?
True,
I could go in a
true.
month before you guys get going and have my 10 days
True.
done and out of the way.
true. So we'll just,
Well,
it's going to be an interesting.
It is. That's it. We'll just keep talking,
That's right.
Sally. It'll be
That's
fine.
right.
We'll get it done.
I think the main thing is just to realize that there are programs available and there are programs available now. So they are limited. This is a limited number, 25 houses roughly on the
Right.
welcome home side. I don't know what
We're doing 60
So-
houses, and we
60.
serve
And-
our entire 8-county region.
Right.
The thing is, don't wait. And the other thing is, even if you say, well, this isn't for me, you probably have a son or daughter or a coworker or somebody that you're around, a friend, a neighbor that may not hear this morning that needs this. So
Yes.
point them to Sally, point them to the city. She's kind of can be a point of contact for both of these programs. So don't say it's not for me and forget about it. The point is, it is for the people out there. It's got 25, there's 25 homes in this one and 60 in theirs. And, we want to get these done. We want to get them done fast. And we want to show the community, hey, this is the advantage you can have of getting your doors and windows. Don't wait till fall whenever
Maybe the price will
Thanksgiving
drop and maybe,
get it done and get it done now while we can get everybody on the list and get it started. Don't miss on this opportunity for free money, because there's going to be somebody that does that, and they're going to look back in about a year and go, man, I wish I would have pulled the trigger on that.
And they'll be number 26.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Scott's right. We all know somebody who could benefit from these programs. I mean, that's just reality. And so, we've got to get them in. I want to make a point, though, too. While the applications are available online on the city's website, they're also, I have sent them out. They're every financial institution in Dent County has a copy of that pre-application. They have them at Riverways. They also have them at Community Action and at the Dent County Health Center and at Salvation Army office. So all of these places have copies of this. They even have them at the counselors at our elementary schools here. Because I figure, our counselors at the schools are going to know the children who are in these homes. And so as a resource that the counselors can help those families with, they have this information as well in the pre-applications. So there's a lot of places you can go to get this.
There is no downside to this. The only downside would be is if we don't take advantage of it.
Right.
And let's just say we get all 25 houses. It would be great. We get this loan. Would now, and maybe I need to address this to Scott, would the bank in Des Moines, if we reapplied because we did such a great job getting all these homes, would they be more inclined to give us more money to do it again.
Well, I mean, they tweak the grant applications every year. Like last year we did, we really were bummed out, missed it by 2 points, but then I think it worked better this year because it came back with the veterans piece. One of the things we didn't realize last year was, the disability piece. Well,
Right.
what we consider disability and what they consider disability.
Two different things.
Yeah, they have a very broad
Very,
definition.
very
since
broad
disability.
definition
Yes.
of that, and the point of just simply age and some other things. So, we will definitely look. I mean, if we have a great positive response, we will definitely look at putting that application back in next year. So we just want to see what the response is right now, and take care of it for today. Don't wait for next round.
Well, and that other piece to add to that too is we have to show that there's need here. If we want to apply in the future for this or a similar program, because they have other programs, they have ones for first-time home buyers and just all different things. If we want to, as a community, no matter who the actual applicant or administrator of the grant is, if we want to apply moving forward, we have to make sure we have spent every penny of what we've got now and that we do it to the best of our ability, because that's going to show them that, there's need in this community. There's need in this community, and they can handle it.
Yep, perfectly
So
said. Perfect.
Wow. I can't add anything to that.
That is a first.
And no, might be the second time, that's what happened, but not very often. Again, this is such a great program, and both programs are fantastic programs. Do not let them go by. If you have an older home, if you need some rehab done, and you may think, I don't know if I really need it done now or what. Get it done now. Put the application in. Find out. What harm does it do to find out? Just get the application in. Let them scan it. Take a look at that pre-application. Let them come back to you. Work with you. And if you say, I can't afford that, that's where Scott comes in and his gang. Guys, there's no better time than the present. You do not want to play with your health. One thing you cannot ever get back. You can always replace a wall. You can replace your roof, your HVAC. You can replace all that stuff. You can get rid of the dang on lead-based paint. But you can't replace your health. As you said, when you get ill and if you have to go through any kind of rehabilitation from your health, that's a lot harder to do than rehabilitation of your home. And if it's for your home that's causing your health problems, be it mold, be it lead-based paint, be it drafty conditions, people don't even realize when you start talking in a lot of basements in Dent County leak. I remember when I first came here in '84. Oh gosh, I went around and looked at houses. I think 95% of the houses I looked at had leaks in their basement, and I thought, seriously, this many are leaking? And they said, well, it's just the way they were built back then. I said, not right. They weren't built right. They were put up, but there were no codes back then.
Right.
And I'm being in real estate. I was in St. Louis. They coded you to death.
Yes.
Not only the BOGA codes, but the municipality codes, which were 3 times more stringent on top because they had their inspectors come in, and if you had a piece of caulk out of whack, they made you take it, tear it off, and redo the caulk.
Yeah.
And I think you guys can't be serious.
Well,
really?
and folks get really frustrated about the building codes. I mean,
Sure.
at the city, we hear about that a lot.
Sure, I'm
'cause
sure you do.
We have the building inspector for the city, and folks get very frustrated. Oh, well, why do I have to do that? That doesn't make any sense. We've done it this way like we mentioned earlier, the building codes really are centered around safety features. And so whether that's structurally, so your 2x4 studs have to be closer together than the 16 or 18 or 24 inches that they used to be, or whether it's electrical or whatever it is, it's all about safety. And protecting long term. And so whatever you can do to invest in your home to make it safer, your health is going to be better. You're going to be happier overall.
I agree
Sorry, I had
No,
to
no,
add
no,
that in
no,
because
no,
we do
and-
hear a lot about it, and folks get frustrated.
But in any new construction,
Yes.
if somebody would ever go watch a home being built, you can watch the walls being put up 2x4s. They're perfect 2x4s. Then you come back and there's holes drilled in there, and all of a sudden there's electric run through, and then you have another hole in there, and there's plumbing coming.
Yes.
Okay, you
just
see,
weakened.
You would see all
Yep.
this start to happen, and you see ductwork in between. What? How did that get in there? When did that happen? It happens quickly, but if you don't know, it's a standardized
Yes.
process. That's what the codes do. Is that when you go to put that picture in the wall, you're not hitting a wire that just happens to be in there somewhere, or your pipe that's going
Yeah.
laterally. It's like, what am I doing? You know,
Yeah.
why did I hit that pipe and you got water coming out of your wall? It's not a good idea.
Well, and a lot of times, and you see this a lot in older homes, and I live in an older home, I know, but, HVAC units, which are much more modern conveniences, they really are, but they'll go through and they'll cut the floor joists to run the ductwork, and
That's
then you
right.
just weaken the structural integrity of your home. So there are things that there's a reason for it. It's really not just because someone thought something up one day.
Right.
So anyway,
We have, in Dent County, and I have it in my house, there's inconsistent crawl spaces where
yes.
things are very narrow underneath houses. It might start out deep, but as it moves forward, you get to 3 to 4, 5, 6 inches. That's it. That's all you got room for. You can't do a lot, 3 or 4, 5, 6 inches. So you want to watch that. Matter of fact, there was a house I had before that had tree stumps in the crawl space. Still there. They just cut the trees off and left them there. And I thought, you know what? That's quick, but it's probably not the right thing to do. But without standards, and this is
Right.
why we talk about those standards. You leave those tree trunks underneath there, you get termites, you get,
Yeah.
next thing you know, you have a house that wasn't even worth building.
Right.
Because you're going to have to virtually tear it down.
Well, and if
And we
I
don't want
may,
that.
I want to just do a quick couple of shout outs. I want to thank Scott and Riverways Federal Credit Union for their perseverance. I mean, some of this was really a dream of Scott's for years prior to my being here. And so, they put considerable effort into trying to make this happen for the Welcome Home program. There's a reason small communities don't see these kinds of grants often. It's a heavy lift on gathering all the information just for the application. And some of the bigger cities have entire staffs dedicated to this. So I want to give a shout out. Thank you, Scott. And I also want to say thank you to Patrick. I mean, to be able to have these programs that we can mesh together and work together and to truly benefit the lives of the citizens here in our community. I think that's the goal of what we're all trying to do.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And that's the goal of what all of us are trying to do. Try
Right.
and make people aware these programs are available.
Yes.
If you know anybody out there that might qualify or might need this assistance, and you say, you're not going to know what their income is more than
Right.
likely, and you don't have to be, you don't have to
Right.
try
No,
and
just
embarrass
hand
them and
them
say,
the- yeah.
hey, I got this application. Do you make 31.9? I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that to anybody, but what you can do is inform them, hey, there's an application online. If
should
you
check it
don't have a
out.
computer and don't know where to go get one, hey, look, there's applications out there. Sally already mentioned they're at the financial institutions. They're out
Yes.
and about. They're down at the community center, at the Armory. They're at Dent County Health Center. Chamber probably has some there
Yes,
as
they do.
well. Okay, so you can go by and get those pre-applications. Get it done.
Right. And
Just-
same at the city offices. If you're
That's
in
right.
paying your city utility bill, ask for one.
Or if you're from the
I mean,
county,
yeah.
bring,
Right. In
you
any
know,
of those
if
places.
you've
yes.
got to get that lead paint checked out,
Right.
get in touch.
Yes.
Now, if anybody has any questions about the program, Patrick, can they call you at MRPC?
Absolutely. Our phone number is area code 573-265-2993. Give me a call. You can also find us on the web at merrimackregion.org. There's a banner. If you go to programs, you'll find lead-based paint hazard control program. You
A lot
click
of
on
programs, though, under programs. So,
that. Yeah,
you know,
there is a lot.
so if you get lost on the web, I mean, it is easy on MRPC to get a little bit lost.
Oh yeah, there's a
occasionally.
lot. There's a lot of stuff going on over at the
Yeah.
Planning Commission. So certainly feel free give me a call and I'd be happy to chat with anybody about the program and get them started on the application.
If you have any other questions, you can call Sally
Yes.
at the city offices.
Yes, at the city offices. Also, if you happen to get your hands on one of the pre-apps, my email and phone number are on the back. I forgot to put my name, that's who that went to, but the email and phone number are on the back of the form. So
You don't need a name.
yeah, just get me to the lady who's doing the housing. Yeah, that'll be it.
Oh, that'll work. They should know who that is, I think, by now. You've been doing a lot of this stuff, answering those questions. But don't hesitate. As Scott mentioned, you may think it's a wise idea to wait until things go down in price. Well, who says they will go down in price? And I think one of the things people don't realize right now is a lot of the cost of the increase in materials is the transportation cost
Yeah.
because of the price of gas.
Right.
They're hitting you with what they always call a surcharge. And that surcharge can take a 2x4 piece of lumber from $4 up to $8 because they have to bring it in. And so, people think, well, gas prices, they're about where they should be. No, not necessarily, but it does affect how you live, because when the prices go up, and we all know that the Fed's starting to raise interest rates, and when that starts to happen,
Get in
inflation
Get in
can
now.
go rampant, and we got to watch out for that. So get that application in right now, or find out more information.
Right.
No harm making a phone call. You can call us, the administrative offices, 8163. No, that's not wrong. That's
Well, my direct office
not
number.
you. That's another person out
There you
there.
go. So my direct office number is 729-2428. So, and that'll get you directly to me. Even if you call the main office number, 729-4811,
Yeah.
they can get you to me.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Yeah, don't fret. Call Sally or call Patrick up at MRPC.
Or if all you remember is Riverways.
2993.
Yeah, okay. When it used to be a little bit different years ago. Still 2993. That's always been consistent.
There you go.
For a long time. That's great. If you have any questions about Riverways and about what they can do with financing, helping you. If you want to find out, maybe lay the groundwork for that right now. Say, hey, look, I want to do some home improvement. I'd like to apply for this program, but I need to know, okay, I need to get this other stuff done. Can you help me?
Yep.
You guys have a number of programs that you can work with people to make it happen.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the business that we're in, and we're in the lending business. So absolutely, we take care of that every day and be happy to. So 739-3113, local number here, riverwaysfcu.org on the web. So either way, be happy to, and
Or stop by. You
absolutely,
have
you
you have a
stop by
location
there.
right here
Yeah.
on 3270, a newer one.
A newer one, yeah. We just celebrated the grand opening April 13th, the 1 year anniversary of the grand opening anyway. So it's hard to believe it's been a year since we got that thing up and going, but it's nice and looks modern and easy to find now. So we're happy to have the move made. And then also, lastly, we talked about all the people that made this happen. But don't leave the other city officials out besides Sally, the aldermen and women. They come along and supported this as well, mayor and city administrator and everything like that. So, it was a combined effort on a lot of fronts to bring this through here, and now it's here. So ultimately, we just don't want to see people let it go to waste. Let's take advantage of this. Let's improve some housing. Let's improve the lives of some kids. Let's improve some lives of some special classes of people, veterans and others. I mean, the veterans out there, they've worked hard. They've sacrificed a lot. So, we were glad to be able to pull that piece in. So if you know those vets, then, encourage them to come be a part of this.
Use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Well, and
that's truly the case.
It is. And that's something, we really haven't talked about it, but Scott mentioned about special classes. So when we applied, we had to identify certain targets in our community that we wanted to hit. And so we actually set aside, and we have to meet these targets. So this is another reason. If you hit one of these, make sure you're applying. Don't miss out on this. So veterans is one of them. So 20% has to be veterans. So that's 6 homes have to have a veteran in the home. Doesn't have to be the main homeowner, but a veteran living in the home.
Okay.
So 6 of them have to meet that. 6 of them have to be very low income. So if you see the pre-application, there's 2 levels of income. There's there's low income, and then there's very low income. And so that's, an even lower amount of annual income. 6 of our houses have to be very
fall in
low
that
income.
category.
Yes. 6 of them have to be special needs. So special needs can be a disability. It can be above the age of 63, I believe. It can be, we talk about students who struggle. You may have some children who might be suffering from lead-based paint issues who have an IEP at school. An IEP with, again, that verification from the school could be considered that disability that qualifies your family. So they're on the back in those definitions. Like I said, it's 2-sided. In the definitions, it explains all the things that the Federal Home Loan Bank will accept as that special needs. And so look through that. If you have even one person in your home who meets that, then you qualify. Okay. Assuming you meet the income criteria. So those are, like I said, special categories that we have to hit because we wanted to make sure that the needs in our community were met.
Yep.
So
Apply.
yes,
It's just that simple. Apply. go and to online at salemo.com.
Yes.
And you can go to any of the
Right, any of the
government
entities,
agencies,
right.
yeah.
And then
Any of
scroll down
those.
to the news feature,
Right.
and it's in there.
Okay, or you can, like I said, you can go to any of the financial institutions, pick
Yes.
it up. Chamber of Commerce, Community Center at the Armory, Dent County Health Center. There's a bunch. There's
Yep,
a number of
community
different
action,
places you'll find
yes,
them.
the utility office for the
Right.
city, yeah.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, again, you can just call the city main number, 729-4811, or you can call Sally directly.
Right.
You can call Patrick up there at 265-2993. How's that?
That's right.
All right, and get a hold of them. If you need more information about the programs, they'll be more than happy to give you much more detail. I know the pre-application, pretty easy. There's a nice flyer on the MRPC program that you can actually, he can probably email to you.
Absolutely.
And if you go to the MRPC website, I'm not sure, I didn't see that on the website. That
I know we have
look-
shared
you
it in the
sent it
past
to
on the
me.
city Facebook page
Right.
too, so that's another place.
Okay.
So I'll make sure it gets posted
So,
again.
Yeah. Well, I
But
just
yeah.
didn't see it on a, you know, sometimes you have to,
Oh, on the,
Yeah.
on the MRPC
website.
website, you have to,
Yeah.
go got to
Right.
go through a few hoops to find a few these things. But they usually do have a very easy to read one-page summation.
right.
And that's what I'm looking at right now. The MRPC's, the lead-based paint hazard control program. That's a lot of words in there, but it's a good idea. But it does explain what it does. It's pretty easy. It explains it for if you have rental property. Explains that about vacant properties. It has a lot of answers already on it. If you can find that, and Sally will probably repost it on Facebook on the city webpage if you want to look at it there. But again, check these out. And this is going to be a great program. I hope a whole bunch of people start really taking a look and take it serious.
Yeah.
Many people just say, well, it's not a problem. I haven't had a problem with lead-based paint. You don't even know if you have lead-based paint. How would you know if it's a problem? So unless you go to your doctor and he says you have lead poisoning, you're probably not going to know.
Yeah, probably not until, some of those problems you can have that lead in there for a really long time and it's slowly deteriorating. So, you may turn, 60 and all of a sudden your liver's shot because you've been exposed. To lead your whole life. And so absolutely, take advantage of it. Even if you're not really having a problem with it. If you have lead-based paint on your windows and your windows are drafty, we can come in and we can address that issue anyway, and then you don't ever have to worry about it being a hazard because we got it out of there.
Absolutely. I just hope people take it seriously enough because, as the summertime, we're in springtime right now. A lot of people are opening and closing their windows, like you're saying, probably for the first time all
in months,
winter,
yes.
okay? Which makes it even worse because they usually wait till it's a nice warm day, and that's when the window's expanding a little bit. And the next thing you know, they're scraping paint on the way up. And
That's
now
right.
you've got your paint dust, and, you can have that. If you can get your windows up, because sometimes when they do expand a little bit too much, they're stuck, and you don't really want to have that. But if there's questions, please call, get it done, 729-4811, 265-2993 at MRPC. Guys, thanks for coming in. We really wanted to have Scott and Patrick and Sally come in and explain this in great detail. I know we're not going to be able to answer all your questions by having this. If you missed part of the program and want to hear it again, it is on our website, ksradio.com. We'll have our archived here in probably about 15 minutes, and you can go on YouTube and listen back to it, or contact any one of the three people here, and they'll be able to give you more information. Appreciate all of you taking the time out of your day to come in. This is a vital piece of help for our community, and we want to thank all of you for your participation in it.
Thank you. Appreciate
you.
you. Appreciate
Thank
your
you,
time as
Stan.
well, Stan.